I have a strong rule. Is one thing is that I don't really let external opinions come in and impact or play a role in our relationship. We've been very good about that, especially us being married. If I'm going through something, I just need advice. There is one person that I may go to just to kind of get advice, and she would be honest and say, no, you're wrong, he was right, or vice versa. But the people the person that I go to, and it's really only two, their feedback is never negative, like where we should break up. It's always very honest and looking at it from both sides. But for me, I don't let others come in and dictate our relationship or influence how I'm going to behave in my relationship. I think that's a space that I respect too much, and I'm not going to let other people come in and mess that up, because I always believe that that all advice is not good advice, and a lot of times people may not want to see us in the best space. So that's how I look at it.
I think that for me, external feedback ruins relationships from the wrong people. Our most difficult time in this 26-year journey was when we were in New Jersey.
Yes.
Young. And had so much external noise to where we had to pick up and move to Maryland, because if we didn't, I don't think we would have made it to see 26 years.
Definitely not.
And once we got into a space where it was my first cousin, and that was it, right?
Yeah,
and
just us.
The noise stopped, and we had a chance to finally figure out who Barney and LaShawn was, just one-on-one. It was no outside interference. It was no external noise. It was just LaShawn and Barney, and that proved to be the best decision we ever made. So I don't really go out for external advice. I pray, to the Most High to guide us through, and I ask Him that if this is to be, then, show me, and we'll make it work. And we've been here 26 years, so that's the only external advice that I go for outside of Sean is the Most High, because and I'm not saying that all people's advice is bad, but it's coming from a perspective that's unknown. They don't know the cause and effect. So I could go to somebody and I could say, Sean did this, Sean did that, Sean, and it's going to be one-sided because I'm repping me, right? I'm fighting for me. I'm not especially if I'm upset. So I think that venting is one thing for me. This is just for me, but actual going and seeking advice, I don't do that, because
all advice is like that.
I think that
yeah.
Unless it's Sophie, of course.
Would you hold me if I told you we can just run away? So come, my darling, let me help you. We can follow the sun and leave the rain for somebody else. Let's help ourselves, leave our troubles upon the shelf. And don't you worry, we're gonna find all we need in our sunset paradise.
I'm huge on resolution. I don't hold grudges.
Okay.
I don't like to hold grudges. It makes me feel uncomfortable.
Yes.
Yes.
So if I feel bothered, then then he'll be able to tell, if I get quiet or something like that. And if we don't agree, then we can't not talk. Now it might not be the second after, but it's not going to be hours later either.
Right.
Okay.
There was a time where we had a disagreement, and our disagreements are probably different from others.
When I thought you were gonna break up with me, was that one?
Oh Lord!
early on, before we moved together, like we had like this disagreement at my place, and like she left. Now I was gonna come after her, but I was waiting a minute, but I was gonna come after her. But she left. And
your man pride. You gotta wait a minute.
No, because
I
I
process things.
I like the process.
Okay.
You have to.
The big thing for me though is I don't take anything personally.
Yeah.
Nothing. And so whatever's happening is happening. And so sometimes your person needs you to change something you do because something you do takes them out of balance with who they want to be, who they need to be. And so it's not that I need to be a different person. It's just that some things in the way I'm doing them need to change when we're together, like working together so that she can stay in balance and be who she wants to be.
Okay.
And so a lot of times, at that particular time, we really got a chance to like talk through like what it was. And, I think, I don't know what other instances you were going to mention, but we've had like a couple instances like that. But we do, like we do actually. We resolve the issues and talk through.
There was, sometimes you can't help when you've gone through things, even in the past, how sometimes that is being brought into the present.
Absolutely.
And you may not even realize it's happening.
Yep.
So what I'm talking about is there was an instance where we didn't agree on something. And like I said, our disagreements are very different. It's very calm and it's not like, but he left. He got in his car and left, and I was like, whoa. We do that. Like, we don't do that.
Aaron?
You know what I mean?
So,
Yes.
So my granddad said, once you say it, you can't take it back.
Yeah.
Right? And so, but the thing is, in the past, when times and things have come up or they've bubbled, like rather than stay in the thick, like take a moment, but it wasn't the right, for us, that's not the right thing, right? In the past, like I was literally like I get in the car, not in the middle of what we were talking about, but I take a moment so I can clear my head, so I can think and maybe
Not
do or
say
say
that
what
thing.
it is that I'm like feeling in the moment, so that I can't say something I can't take back. But that doesn't work for us.
Yeah.
And so that was an instance of a learning experience and me promising to never do that again for us, right? For the sake of us.
Because actually leaving, you take a ride, your mind is, focused on something else. You might not pay attention while you're on the road, whatever the case is. You get your thoughts here in the house. You can go over there somewhere if you want to.
I go in there, we go right.
Not to drive, and I just feel like there's a huge disconnection.
Yeah.
When I still feel connected if you're in the house,
Right.
But when you leave,
That's what I had to
it's a
explain to
different
Kevin.
feeling.
But-
the connection is different.
But for us,
Hold up.
we are so passionate. We're two passionate people.
Hold up.
So sometimes
Can
we
I-
have to go out of the house.
So sometimes, and as we're speaking on video and we're talking, basically hoping that other couples get something out of this. Let's speak to both sides of that equation. Sometimes you have to leave. Somebody has to get out of the space in order for calmer heads to prevail. You guys are different. You guys are really calm in the way that you deal with each other. But when the cups are flying, either you're gonna take a shot or you're gonna walk away.
So we went out on this date, and so I opened the car door to let her in the car door, and I come around and my car door is popped, and then I'm like trying to figure out like how my car door got open. Like I don't understand like what happened. So I just get in the car and think anything about it. And then I open the car door again, and then the car door is popped, and I'm like, wait, what's happening? So the third time it happened, I realized like I'm opening the door for her, and she's reaching over to return the favor to open the car door for me. And I'm like, I had never experienced that. As a person who's always opened doors for people, open car doors for people, I've just naturally been a person who's done it. I've never had anyone repay the favor and open the door for me. And it was like, that along with like all the other ways she had already shown me like how kind she was, it just solidified for me that she was someone who was thoughtful enough to when a nice thing was done, she was gonna repay the favor for the nice thing you had just done for her. And it just showed for me like how different she was.
What's one thing you better understand about yourself today that you didn't understand the day we met?
That's a good question. I always use the word balance as a measure, just to ensure that I'm not doing more of one thing than I should, especially when it comes to things that are important. I've raised my daughter most of her life by myself. And when you're a single parent, you tend to give all to that child, their needs, their wants, their, whatever activities they're in, you're involved in all of that. I think it took for my own child to tell me when she goes away to school, she wants to make sure that I'm okay and that I'm not alone. She's like, Mom, what are you gonna do when I go to school? And I'm like, that's funny. I really didn't think about that because all I thought about was, what do we need to do now? Next week we got to do this, and then the next month we have to do that, and then next year we have to prepare for this. And it was always a recycle of that. And I would tend to kind of forget about myself sometimes. So although I'm still a little guilty of, that she's my only child, but I am more conscious about what I want and making sure that I have a balance in that. So instead of just giving everything in me that I have to just the things that my daughter needs and wants, of course, I'm always going to be there and support. I also had to think about what I wanted. Just like she said, when she does leave to go to school. So I made the decision to make time for the person that I was going to be with. And when I met you, and it was really decided pretty early on that we could see ourselves with each other, I knew that it was important for us to have that time so that we can learn more about each other and grow.
Not only was I happy with myself before I got with Aaron, but people could see how much more energy behind my happiness that I have now, that I have a partner that I now have for life.
It's amazing how much, truly connecting with someone who allows you to fully be yourself, how much of an impact it has on you. And you don't realize it sometimes until other people who have been in your life look at you and they notice, you seem like happy. And I know that kind of surprised me of how other, like some of my friends and family members who have seen me, I'm consider myself to be a pretty happy person. But I think the quality of happiness that I've had since we've been together is just, it's unmeasurable. And a lot of it just has to do with just being able to be me and not having to restrict, and just being able to be myself and be honest and be open. And I think the best part about it is that, like, every single opportunity that we have when there is a difference of opinion is an opportunity for me to just grow and be better and us to get closer. And those instances don't cause like division for us. It just calls us to one, either acknowledge, even in the end, sometimes maybe we don't necessarily agree, but we talk through it, and we don't worry about the passion that we need to talk through it and how we talk through it, but we just get to a place to where we just get a more thorough understanding of each other. And as time goes on, we just get to the questions we want to ask instead of formulating the questions in a way to try to make the other person feel better. No, what is the question you want to ask? And ask me the question the way you want to ask me, so that we can actually talk through it and that I know like what you're thinking. And I think that that's another invaluable thing that happens for a lot of relationships, is that we're always thinking we're trying to protect another person, when in reality, most often we're trying to protect ourselves. And if this is your person and you can really just be open and honest with your person, you don't have to restrict, you don't have to worry about any of that. You can share and talk about anything. We can talk about anything. And it's like no subjects out of bounds, and nothing's too soon. Nothing was ever too soon for us. And it's like we just felt comfortable talking about whatever we wanted to talk about and really discussing it like the adults that we are, right? And for whatever reason, I don't understand this out there. It's like, we're all adults. Why is it that we pretend that we aren't, and we feel like we have to restrict and hold back, and we feel like we can't ask certain questions? It's like on our first date, Soph asked me if I would ever consider being married again. And so I knew by asking that she was wondering whether or not what we were doing was going to be something we could do further, because for her, being married again was something she absolutely wanted. And so she just wanted to gauge for me whether I still had an appetite for it. And so I understood what was being asked of me. And but I answered the question honestly, right? Also knowing that figuring that if my answer was, well, no, I'm absolutely done, then that meant that our first date was our last date. Because for her, she very much knows what she wants. And that's also an important thing that many of us that need to learn, is like, if you don't understand what you want, it's very difficult for you to give anything to anyone else, because you have to first understand what it is that you want and need. And then that way you can communicate that to your person. And so I think it's important to us as we go through this season, in the conversations we're having and the information that we're providing, that we try to give you all some examples of ways in which to connect better, to communicate better, because communication is huge. But communication is meaningless if you're not doing it open and honestly. And so for us, that's been like one of the most important things that we've done since day one, is we haven't run from anything that would be considered a difficult conversation. I told her I loved her before she told me it back, and I wasn't concerned about whether she said it. I just wanted her to know how I felt. And everything I was feeling at the moment I felt it, I would communicate it, rather than sitting on it and waiting and thinking that there's some time in the future, after a certain number of hours or minutes that we spent together, that was the right time. No, the right time is when I felt it, and I communicated it when I felt it. And I've continued to do that. And what I'm feeling and experiencing, I want her to know, because we are best friends. And all these experiences that we're having together, it's important to me that they get shared at the right time, so that we can both experience, the ups and downs, or we can experience the dialogue it generates for us. And there's lots of little things we do like that I think has just continued to bring us closer. And our hopes really for this season is that we can ignite the kind of connection out there that everyone aspires to have in the world. My name is Aaron.
My name is Sophie, and we love love.
Inside of me, can't take it out of me. No matter where I've been, it's about where I'm meant to be. I be shining perfect timing. Check your watch.